Hello, hello. This is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello, hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to show some more things from the State of the Union that I wasn't able to get to the other day. So, and also some stuff from the hearing regarding social media and Twitter. I mentioned today that they're just really dishonest about some of the stuff going on. We only talked about one portion of AOC, but there's a pretty big thing when she called out libs of TikTok, and it was just really, 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 really ridiculous on their part. So we're gonna go through some of those things today. Also, Project Veritas is going through some issues right now. It's reported that O'Keefe is not they're trying to oust him. And so there's a lot of support for James, and people are saying the organization is O'Keefe, and if you don't have O'Keefe, then you don't have the organization. And I get that. I didn't realize that they could be structured in such a way that they would get rid of James O'Keefe. So we're gonna dive into some of that drama. Some people are noting that it's really interesting because they had this big scoop, at least with Pfizer. And it's some pretty big accusations that have come out as far as their recent undercover videos with Pfizer. At the same time, when they did confront the man, he claimed that he was just saying stuff to impress a date, which it's so crazy to me that they can lure so many people to spill their guts at these events and whatever. They just get a Tinder or Grinder account or whatever, get these people out to lunch or dinner, get them a couple drinks, and then they just spill all these different secrets. So very fascinating and stuff indeed. But there was stuff about dealing with women's menstrual cycle and how it was affecting that. There was accusations about, well, he had said stuff about how they were editing, doing some, it sounded like some gain of function type stuff, which, by the way, there were different legislators from Michigan who had like a press conference, demanding answers from Pfizer. So it got some traction. Republicans do not have control in Michigan, and we'll see how that expands. But Project Veritas, they had this big story, and now they're trying to push out O'Keefe. I'm not saying for sure it's connected, but people are noting it, saying the timing is suspicious. I have an alleged scoop that I will read the tweets and just run through the story. And I'll read Project Veritas's statement on the matter as well. I hope O'Keefe can pull it out. Of course, we're not privy to all the reasons that they claim that they need to restructure or push him out or keep him or not keep him. But a lot of people really do feel that the organization is O'Keefe, and I don't know how they will be able to structure and survive if they just oust them, especially if there's not a very good perceived reason and people from the outside looking in who support Project Veritas, share their stuff, who give to them, see O'Keefe as a vital part of the organization. So a lot of drama today, a lot of drama going on right now. But before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. Please go ahead and make sure to check out my book, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion, which you can get right now, pre-order it with ebook or Nook. I think it's Nook right now. It's going to be on some other digital platforms as well. But if you would like the paperback, you're going to have to wait a little bit until that's available. I'll let you guys know. But make sure you go to the website and just sign up for updates and alerts and etc. Check out other different merch that we have, like this pro-choice men are sus shirt, short for suspect, which Students for Life posted a video of some pro-life people. They were doing a demonstration, and they have these like mini little life models of um the March for Life anyway. And they're really neat, but they were somewhere, I think they were in Virginia somewhere, and they had their setup, and one of the guys just like took it, and then they're confronting them like, do you think this right? They just try to steal our stuff, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. And they're like, it's fine to kill babies, and then they, I mean, they're just trolling them, saying crazy stuff, and that they do stuff more evil than that all the time, and they're just laughing about it. And so I just retweeted it and said, in another episode of Pro-Choice Men Are Sus. So and someone replied and said, these people are just the worst, or don't want to compromise with them at all. I'm like, when you come against people like that, who, I mean, you can have reasonable conversations and debates with a lot of people. I've had a lot of great conversations with people who don't agree with me on this issue, but have been able to see both sides, and we've been able to be civil, etc. But there's some people who are just so devoted to the dogma that they'll say really heinous things, not things in their hearts that I don't think they mean, kind in a Jesus on the cross saying, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," sort of circumstance. But when it's like that, and you have the people who do the shout your abortion and to share your pins and stuff, and I know a lot of these people are hurting, but sometimes you just got to remember that you can't reason with everybody, and some people just got to be mad, and you got to defeat them. Like I always say, well, you know what? When we freed the slaves back in the day, people were mad they lost their slaves, so they just got to be mad. Some people just got to be mad, and you got to beat them. They'll get over it eventually. As decades go by or whatever, they'll get over it. But some people just got to be mad. You can't convert everybody on an issue. You just can't. So yeah, lots of weird behind the scenes debate stuff going on, but check out other merch that we got at the store as well. Also, check out my book, of course. I got lots of books. Let me show a picture with me and a lot of my books. I got 15 that are published. Most of them are fiction, but I do have a historical fiction fantasy story. It cracks me up when people are like, oh, Republicans, they hate history or whatever. I'm just like, Republicans love history. We're the party who freed the slaves. But no, I find history very fascinating myself. And I wrote a historical fiction fantasy. It's, I'm not going to say it's the most historically accurate thing ever, because there's superpowers and a bunch of other stuff, but there's some fascinating things in it. Like the second one, the big like action scene throwdown is happening during the draft riots. So one reviewer said that they were so fascinated they would look up stuff while they were reading, because they had to know if it was true or not. And that was cool, because I do that all the time when I watch like historical dramas or documentaries. It's crazy. I'm sorry, side note, I was watching a documentary on uh Commodus from, like, Gladiator, the person who what's the name, played Joaquin Phoenix. And they had this grown man like sleeping around with these girls, being like, the irresponsible kind of playboy and or whatever. And then I start looking up stuff, and I'm like, he's like a boy, he's a boy, like a little boy. And I'm like, why did they hire this actor? Why? To do all this stuff. I mean, obviously they had a narrative that they wanted, but you don't expect, when you're watching like a historical docu series or something, that they're just changing people's ages like that dramatically. And I'm like, why would they do that? Because then because his mom like betrayed him, because they thought that her husband had died, and so she like paired up, boot up with somebody else, and it helped them like start to lead a rebellion, because she was trying to protect herself because she didn't know how everyone else was going to come in. And so she like bypassed her son. But if you had the context, say he was a little boy, maybe that makes more sense. that, that she was afraid about people just teaming up behind her son who was still a little boy. So it just floored me. And because I'm like, why make something that wrong? So, it is not like it was a series that was supposed to be like a historical flat out fiction. It was like a docu series thing with but they film certain scenes. So that was wild to me that they did that. So sorry, yeah. But anyway, I thought it was cool that they were looking up, historical facts as they were reading my stuff. So anyway, just find me on Amazon. If you go to blacktnews.com, go to the merchandise page. There's a banner that will take me up to the book site, and I have all of them on Amazon and paperback, Kindle, and all of my books except for Slay Your Fear: How to Overcome a Spirit of Fear, which that one's a nonfiction faith book, all are available on Kindle Unlimited. I don't know how long they will be. I might restructure some stuff, but if you have Kindle Unlimited, I would recommend that you go ahead and read through stuff. I promise you I will get paid as long as you flip through the pages. So if you want to support, you can do that way. But also go to blacktnews.com and you can leave a donation if you would like to do that. God bless you if you can. It costs a stream, run my website, do all that stuff. So if you would like to contribute, I very much appreciate it. So first things first, you guys know that I like to start with a meme. And I saw this on the timeline of Grand Old Memes, so he didn't make it. I'm trying to remember who made it. I know there's a watermark. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see it, but here we go. So that's of Joe Biden, and they've superimposed him at the Grammy performance, which that picture of him at the with the red backdrop where it looks so just creepy. So I thought it was a good meme. We already talked about the Grammys and some of the weird stuff that happened there, which by the way, so many people were talking about Sam Smith, and so someone I was going through TikTok and there was like a bunch of Christian stuff in my feed, and there's this huge song, Gratitude, and I don't know how majorly popular it was before. They played on K-Love a lot. But it definitely got some more buzz because someone sang the song on The Voice. And I had probably heard it prior to that, but I mean, after that, I, really started to kind of pay attention to it, I guess. And so it's a so the person got an award for that. And then someone mentioned that people were talking about in the comments and they said, yeah, they didn't even air this. And apparently they do stuff like kind of like a pre-show stuff. It would they have stuff in even a separate room sometimes, and I'm like, that's weird. But that is a really popular song. It's a really great song, and that would have been a bright moment in a cesspool of evil. But I didn't watch it anyway, I guess, and I wasn't gonna watch it. I can't the last time I watched an award show was probably the year that Halle Berry won for Monsters Ball, which I never saw that movie, but someone was complaining they didn't think it was a great movie. Denzel got it for Training Day, which people were like, he's got a lot of great movies and y'all give it to him for Training Day. And Russell Crowe lost to Denzel. He got nominated for Beautiful Mind, and we were really on like a Russell Crowe kick because we loved Gladiator. And we were like, really? So And Denzel kind of seemed surprised that they gave it to him too. Not that it doesn't know he's a good actor, but he's done so many great movies, and you give it to him for a Training Day. Not that he wasn't good in the movie. Not that he wasn't good in the movie. It just, I don't know. Sometimes people get awards when they really, really deserve it, and sometimes it seems like they give awards to people because they feel like they're owed at that time because they didn't get it before. They're like, we're trying to make it up for you. And I don't know. That's my opinion. You guys can have a different opinion. But I haven't watched an award show in a long time. Just pretty much the highlights from, you might see a cool opening skit. Um, the highlights of you hear about this, you hear about that. So no, I did not watch the Grammys. I was not going to watch the Grammys. I just got the highlights and reported them as they came out. So yeah, I thought this was a good meme, very good meme. Also, there's been some controversy today. I posted a picture of Jill Biden today, and some folks commented. Some people didn't like it so much, and it was a picture of her smooching Kamala Harris's husband, and all I had said was, I wouldn't kiss somebody else's husband like that. And so if you zoom in close, it kind of looks like they're not like on the lips or whatever, and I'm like, there's a lot of area of cheek that she missed. Now, I didn't bring it up because I thought that Jill Biden then was a swinger or something like that. I just thought it was weird. And but other people, since it became a thing, I'm good. Here's a video of it, just FYI. So it was quick. Like I didn't expect people to be like angry about it. I just saw it. You know was like, oh, and I just shared it. It wasn't even like that deep, but a lot of people are talking about it. So this was Right to Bear Memes that posted this, and they said it's just a camera angle. And but no, they just do that. They just do that. And and just because you might, I guess, do that doesn't necessarily mean you're a creep or something. Like I remember watching a TV show, and it was an old TV show, like it was in color, but someone kissed someone and it seemed like they were like frenemies, and at the end of the episode they kind of made up, and they kissed on the lips. I was like, what? Like, but so I don't know if more people did that back in the day, or if there's some part of the country, or I don't know. I don't know. um the only dude I really kiss on the cheek is my dad. So um it's just weird. It was weird to me. It's not like earth shattering. It's not an important thing. There of course is reports of creepy stuff with Biden himself though in general, but yeah, I just wanted to clear the air. It happened, and it looked like they aimed for the lips, but that's just what they do. So anyway, moving on. I wanted to play this video from the State of the Union about Social Security. I mentioned it yesterday, but I didn't have the clip up. And I played some other ones, but this is when like the Republicans like really heckled Biden, and Vanity Fair, and other people complain about them heckling Biden. But he, if you're gonna blatantly lie, I mean, it's a State of the Union, so people should be respectful. But at the same time, I guess we're way behind the days of people being so appalled because someone shouted out lie. I mean, they were Nancy Pelosi ripping up Trump's speech, and so I don't know. There's just not much civility, and it was mostly civil. But I think it's respectful to at least tell the truth. and Biden's got an issue with that. So anyway, here we go.
All of you at home should know what those plans are. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion. You know, it means if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans.
Yeah. So the internet is undefeated, you know. So there's a clip going around of Biden when he was a senator talking about such things.
I argued that we should freeze federal spending. I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government. And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth time.
So someone said, to be fair, Biden probably does not remember saying anything like that at all. And freezing for a limited time isn't the same as trying to sunset stuff, but people are so understandably concerned about Social Security and other things, but we do have a structure that's not going to last forever, especially how we spend money, and it's just not going to last forever. So they do need to figure out something, but just trying to scare people with the Medicaid and Social Security. I guess that's what they have. That's the angle they got to work with, because what else are they going to do? What else are they going to run on besides untruths and other sorts of things? So people were talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene in her white coat. They're calling her Cruella DeVille, but so the internet had their fun with that as well. But yeah, don't just be respectful, be honest as possible. And Biden, he said something really, really crazy as well. He tried to blame the attack on, well, he didn't try, I guess he did, on Paul Pelosi, on Republicans, and let's read it. For the last few years, our democracy has been threatened, attacked, and put at risk, put to the test here in this very room on January 6th. And then just a few months ago, unhinged by the big lie, an assailant unleashed political violence in the House of then Speaker of this House, Representatives, using a very same language that insurrectionists who stalked these halls chanted on January 6th. Here tonight in the chamber is the man who bears the scars of that brutal attack, but is as tough and strong and resilient as they get, my friend Paul Pelosi. But such a heinous act should never have happened. He's correct that it should have never happened, and we did watch the surveillance video when that was made available. And I don't know why they took so long to release that, because when I saw it, and other people still have, conspiracies, and I could be wrong as far as accepting the video that they put out as is, but in my humble opinion, it genuinely looks like a crazy person came to his house and wanted Nancy, and Paul got the short end stick of that deal. So it was horrifying to watch. It was a horrifyingly terrifying situation to be in. Glad he's okay, though I don't like the Pelosi's. But it was violent and awful what he went through, and yeah, I wouldn't wish that on somebody. So glad he's okay, but to take that violence of a crazy person who was a leftist, like living, he's like a drug addict, illegal alien, and they had like leftist sort of stuff where he was living. So maybe he believed in some conspiracies and stuff, but a lot of people on both sides of the aisle believe the Pelosi's are evil. And you know what? Both people on both sides of the aisle aren't wrong. But he was a crazy, unwell person who attacked him. But to blame so many other people um, isn't right, especially when you try to tout out bipartisanship and unity, and you keep going to, hey, our democracy, this is the worst thing since the Civil War. You know, it's dishonest. Our capital's been attacked before. Like, like I remember when, not when they were certifying the results, or which Democrats tried to stop. There were Democrats who tried to stop the certification, which to Biden's credit, they just, pushed, like ignored them. But let's not act like there were some Democrats who tried to object to Trump being certified. I was at the inauguration, and people were rioting there. They wanted to stop Trump from being president. They wanted to be disruptive, and people who were smashing at windows, set limousine on fire. People were attacking women in line for the inaugural ball. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to memory hole that. All that stuff is awful. All that stuff is terrible. But to act like we had a true threat to our democracy, I'm not saying it wasn't scary. It probably was not probably. It was genuinely terrifying for people in the Capitol who didn't know what was going on. Tim Scott talked about trying to find a weapon to defend himself. So I don't doubt that was, a horrifying situation to be in. But with some perspective, looking at the sort of things that they're comparing it to, they like immediately like came back and certified the results. And before that, there were Republicans like genuinely talking about holding it up. So it's just so dishonest. I'm glad Paul's okay, but Biden is a scumbag. That's nothing new. We know he's a scumbag, which, by the way, he interjected race. We talked about this yesterday when he said the statement about now people are having to have the talk about we people in this room some of us will never know what it's like to have to talk to your kids about when the police pulls you over and keeping your hands at 2 and 10. And so I thought it was ridiculous. It's a repeated talking point. I mentioned that they talked about it at the debate with Trump and Biden. They really wanted to inject this worldview that Black people just live in an alternate reality than white people, right? So my sister was watching my show, and me talking about it, and so she was like, "Man, I really wish that we would have talked about this before you did your show." She's like, "Because they have questions like this on the DMV test." Now, I don't know if that's every state or whatever, but like what to do, like when the police pulls you over, keep your hands on the, other stuff like that. That's actually like something that they just prepare you in general for. And I had posted it on Facebook, and someone said, yeah, they taught this stuff 30 years ago when I started driving. So it's just alternate reality. But I as I said before, I think Biden is probably legitimate. Like, I've never had to have this conversation with Hunter and Bo. Yeah, probably because, one, you're not a great dad, and two, like, there's lots of conversations that Joe has apparently not had with his kids or didn't get through, right? Like not sniffing Parmesan cheese and other stuff, right? Or making sure that our bank accounts aren't joined when you pay for your hookers. Like, I don't know, stuff like that. Don't throw away guns, don't leave your laptops everywhere. Don't threaten women who are working for you that you will withhold their pay if they don't do sexual acts for you. Like, just stuff like that. Just things that normal dads shouldn't have to tell their sons, but I don't know where he picked all that stuff up from. But I think it speaks to privilege, because if Hunter, one of his kids, was probably in a bad situation, they would probably say, hey, do you know who I am? My last name is Biden. So if you've never really had to have a conversation of what happens when your kid gets pulled over by the police, maybe it's because you don't expect them to get in trouble. And I'm not saying that everyone expects their kids to do something like nefarious as far as crime, but you never know when you might get into an accident, have your tail light out, or whatever. But I would just assume, and they've done like stuff to get in trouble, but they certainly have a perspective that they can get away with everything. And you know what? It it seems that they're not wrong. We'll see what happens with the probe with Hunter Biden and them looking into stuff. I mean, with this investigation with his laptop, which he's retaliating against the people who released the information. And they're like, "So are you saying that the laptop is yours then?" And they're like, "No, we're not saying it's ours. We're just saying you shouldn't have put the information out there." So they're trying, but I I'm not holding my breath if there's going to be some kind of repercussions for wrongdoing of stuff that these people do. I hate to be like a cynic. Um, I don't know. Biden has had an attitude for a very long time that he can do things and just get away with it, and that became so obvious, and I guess it made me super jaded with Afghanistan. And I've mentioned this before, but Politico Playbook put out an article about Holbrook, who had wrote in his diary at the time about Biden, and how he had become disillusioned with the war and wanted to bring troops home, you know, and he became one of the most adamant get them out folks. And when he'd have questions like what will happen to like women who are going to school and stuff like that when the Taliban takes over, and he's like, well, I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially was Nixon. People, Nixon got away with Vietnam, how they pulled out of Vietnam, like we'll be okay. So not that it was a good thing, it was or anything like that, or what had to be done, or an unnecessary thing. The attitude was we can just simply get away with it. Like no, people aren't going to hold us accountable, whether it's the media, whether it's the voters. This man has been in office for a long time doing shady stuff, and really, really shady, terrible things, lying through his teeth about so many things, being so awful to, Clarence Thomas, and doing borking and all sorts of things, and things worse than that. And he doesn't care because he doesn't think anyone will hold him accountable. And a way to hold him accountable would for him to have not been president. Unfortunately, he became president, and then he did not get shellacked in the midterms. So he's emboldened by every victory that he has, every win he gets with every sort of legislation that he gets to pass that the Republicans cave to or whatever. He just feels more emboldened. So I don't think that he'll just step down if anyone's hoping that they'll run someone else in 2024. I do think there's people like waiting in the wings. So I don't know if they can push him out or not, but he's a very stubborn old man. And I think he's banking, especially if he thinks that Trump's going to be the nominee. I think he's banking on a rematch. And he personally has every reason to believe that he will spend his life throughout. I don't know how much longer he's going to last, but that he's going to at least have another term in the White House. He has no reason to believe differently because people have not shown him otherwise, that someone will hold him accountable. And I'm sorry to be a downer. I'm sorry to be a downer. But I hope, pray that is not the case. I really hope so. And sometimes people are held accountable to a degree. There's a lot of things that Hillary Clinton should have been held accountable for. Like her emails for one, but Juanita Broaddrick, one of Bill Clinton's accusers, you know, she wanted some justification, some sort of I don't know, vindication, I guess, vengeance. But there was, I can't remember the name of the woman who Hillary Clinton defended her rapist, and Trump did bring her. There's two of Bill's accusers, and it was her as well. And when he had like a press conference before the debate, and I think it was the second debate, and people are like, don't hold it against Hillary. She was a lawyer. Like, I know people need to be represented, but there was some shady stuff that seemed to have happened surrounding that case. She didn't need to take the case. 'Cause it wasn't like she was a public defender, but they wanted her to take that case because she's a woman. So she took the case and tore down that little girl on the stand. And but the thing that really upset people was when the video came out of her talking about the case, and they said that he took a polygraph test, a lie detector test, and she laughed and said he passed, and that destroyed her faith in lie detector tests. So she knew he was guilty. She knew he was guilty. And Snopes and people did fact check articles about it. And this was really disgusting with the media. And they would say that it was false that she laughed at the victim getting raped. I didn't say that other people weren't saying that. Maybe other people were saying it, but I would say something and people would be like, "No, here's the article." And I'm like, "Bruh, we're saying she laughed." And so I'd post the video and they'd be like, "No, here's what Snopes said." And I'm like, just watch the actual evidence. And they just want to dismiss the whole thing. But anyway, after Hillary Clinton lost, I remember her tweet, and she was just like, basically she got what she deserved. It didn't sound quite that crass, but it just seemed like that was the only way to hold her accountable for what she had done to this little girl. She's not a little girl anymore, obviously, but it seemed like the only sort of piece she could get into the situation was just for her to not be president. And Hillary and them, they, politically they deserve more than just losing the presidency, but apparently she's still torn up about it. But so we can revel in that, I guess. And then she went on to just really stoke the Russia conspiracy and talk about how the election was stolen from her. And she's still around. I think, I guess I don't think now. It doesn't look like they're going to try to push her, but I think they were thinking about it heavily, Hillary Clinton possibly being the nominee. Now, if she was younger than Biden, then maybe they would try it again. But she is like, they're all like the same age. So maybe not. But it seemed like they were trying to put her back in the spotlight. They even did like a master class, the master class, like things you can sign up for, and you have someone teach you how to act or teach you how to cook or whatever. They had Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton doing the master classes. And this was after Bill Clinton's like pictures came out with him and one of Epstein's girls. And I'm like, really? You guys there's no reason not to just ostracize them and pretend they don't exist anymore. Politics is so weird and dirty and gross. Like, and then they had Bill Clinton speak at the DNC convention. Like nothing happened. Like we were just supposed to memory hole that. Like we didn't see what we saw. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. I want to play AOC or talk about AOC at this hearing when she was talking about libs of TikTok, and she's just not a good person. So many people are such bad people. And I'll play the Roth Yul Roth statement too, and something else as well. But here's AOC talking about Libs of TikTok, which, if you're not familiar with Libs of TikTok is an account that posts stuff that liberals post. Like, they got their start, they go on TikTok and they just find crazy videos of kids saying crazy stuff or adults saying crazy stuff, but they were leftists, and they talk about racism and transgenderism and all the sort of different pronouns and things that they're making up, like I identify as a dragon star, or just crazy stuff like that. And they just got a lot of notoriety, and then people started sending them tips and all kinds of different stuff, and they start looking at other places, and the count just really grew, especially as the Washington Post, Taylor Lorenz, for example, specifically, really started zeroing in on them. At one point, their account got locked. I think I don't think they were ever, like, maybe they were banned for a little bit, but Babylon B really like stuck up for them, Seth Dillon, and Seth Dillon let it be known if they suspend Blib to TikTok that they're going to sue them. And then Chaya, who runs it, actually got like doxxed. People debate whether it was doxxed or not, but Taylor Lorenz like showed up at, her house, and there was even like they released their name, and it's a common name, a common Jewish name. So another woman with the same name in a similar area got like harassed online because of Taylor Lorenz. So they hate this account, and all it is holding up a mirror and saying, this is what you guys do. It's not like she's making it up. And it's not like people didn't post things on the internet. They're just saying, hey, look what I found. Watch. That is what Libs of TikTok does. But these people hate this account so much. It's crazy. And Twitter, the insiders at Twitter were really looking at this account. They're aware of this account, wanted to censor this account. They wanted it banned, I'm sure. But that was an account that's large and had a lot of eyes on it. So here's an exchange about Libs of TikTok and a particular incident regarding a hospital.
Ms. Navaroli, are you familiar with the account Libs of TikTok?
I have heard of it from the news, yes.
Mr. Roth, are you familiar with this account?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Are you aware that from August 11th to August 16th, that account posted false information about Boston Children's Hospital, claiming that they were providing hysterectomies to children?
Yes, I am aware of that and other claims from the account.
And are you aware that this...
So I'm just going to go ahead and point out right now that she's lying, like, about this incident. They did post about Boston Children's Hospital, but as far as them making claims as if they were so radical and crazy, I will show you evidence of what Libs of TikTok posted. I will show you evidence, but we'll go through this video first.
Lie was then circulated by other prominent far-right influencers.
Yes.
And are you aware that all these claims, which I have reiterated were false, culminated in a real-life harassment and ultimately a bomb threat to the Boston Children's Hospital?
Yes, I am aware.
And this account is still on that platform today, isn't it?
Regrettably, yes, it is.
Regrettably, such a tool.
Despite inspiring a bomb threat due to the right-wing incitement of violence against trans Americans in this country, because they cannot let go of this obsession with fixating violence and inciting violence against trans and LGBT people, in addition to immigrants, in addition to women of color. This is a party that cannot pick on anyone their own size.
So, wait, cannot pick on anyone their own size. What kind of statement is that? What kind of statement is that? Let's just unpack that for a moment. What do you mean they can't pick on someone their own size? Because she didn't just say trans, she said women of color. So I'm now included in this. Which there are women of color, and I guess they got a drag queen in who's a Republican now there, or at least did drag a few times. So if they're not picking on people their own size, then the Republicans are people who are above in stature than women of color. So as a black woman, which I'm sure likes to ignore that, someone like me is a Republican, just try to see no evil, I don't exist. Um I'm an inconvenient truth for her. But what Republicans are so far above because they're just a party of upper class rich white men in their eyes. So if they come against someone who is a woman of color, they just can't pick on someone their own size. If you're gay, lesbian, bisexual, whatever, you're just beneath the Republicans or so small in stature against them. What does that even mean? It's just that oppressor mentality is so well, it's insulting, so crazy. But anyway, let's get to the fact that this is what libs of TikTok posted about Boston Children's Hospital. So they're talking about hysterectomies and gender affirming stuff as if they made this up and as if this is a lie and this stuff doesn't happen. So maybe it doesn't, but this is what the hospital posted.
Gender-affirming hysterectomy is very similar to most hysterectomies that occur. A hysterectomy itself is the removal of the uterus, the cervix, which is the opening of the uterus, and the fallopian tubes, which are attached to the sides of the uterus. Some gender-affirming hysterectomies will also include the removal of the ovaries, but that's technically a separate procedure called a bilateral oophorectomy. And not every gender-affirming hysterectomy includes that, and people who are getting gender-affirming hysterectomies do not have to have their ovaries removed.
So, if you see that a children's hospital has gender affirming hysterectomies, which why do you need that if gender is how you identify? Anyway, what else are people supposed to assume when that's what you're promoting on your website? As again, libs of TikTok didn't make that up. That's not an NSL skit or whatever. They didn't film that in their basement. It's not a deep fake. It was on their website. So libs of TikTok saying here is what the hospital is promoting. Just beyond the fact that whether they do it or not, why are they promoting it? Why are they talking about it? What, just because it happens? No, they're talking about it because they think it's a good thing. They want people to have them, to be open to that idea. Gender affirm, not an emergency. You need to have one because it's cancerous or whatever. They're like, no, we got to take out you got to have a gender affirming hysterectomy to affirm your gender identity, and this is what we can do. That is a crazy procedure. We are far past do no harm. I wrote my book, of course, God is blatantly against abortion, and I'm like, harm is a matter of perspective now. Like we're so far beyond the Hippocratic Oath, so far beyond that. So when people talk about misinformation, I'm not even going to call what she did misinformation. She's just a liar. AOC is just a liar. They hate this account so much. And again, all they do is post things that the libs say, that the libs do, just drawing attention to it. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And they know it, and it drives them up a wall. But they still keep posting material. They still keep doing it. There is a plethora of information, of material on TikTok right now. I promise you that they can continue to use. They never even have to get tips from people. They can just keep going on TikTok and looking at different trends. But this account has become so evil in the eyes of the people who headed Twitter that you heard Yul Roth talk about. Oh, unfortunately, it's still up. What and they would hinder the account or whatever, knowing that they didn't actually break rules. or break the community guidelines. They just hated it. They just hate, and I understand they hated it, but why don't you stop doing crazy stuff? They just want to do the crazy stuff, indoctrinate your kids, indoctrinate everybody around you, fill them with, you know, that they're oppressed, that they're, you know, boys can be girls, that there's no genders or is genders, but there's a million they want to put all this stuff in people's heads, but you're not supposed to notice, or you're not supposed to speak out loud about it. I did a video and I posted this morning about Dylan Mulvaney, and I had one video that I did posted, I guess it was October, and it got like 2 million views, and then I did a maybe like 3 other ones or something. And so some people will say like, why don't you just leave her alone? Leave her alone. And she's not bothering you, which Dylan Mulvaney has been in the White House talking about gender affirming stuff, and once says it should be illegal to call him a man. This is a person who has 10 million followers. This isn't like a Joe Schmo, but I started running through like his resume, just all this influence that he's amassed. I'm just like, this person doesn't want to be not talked about. They don't, he wants to be noticed. If everyone just stopped paying attention to Dylan Mulvaney, there goes his brand. He's a whole entire brand. He was at the Grammys on the red carpet in a red devil dress, you know. It wasn't necessarily it wasn't a devil dress, but you know, that's the theme of the night. So I've seen a collection of memes. So yeah, he was there. You know, I'm more annoyed with society's like uplifting, like you can actually change your gender and stuff, you know, and E! News like posting, you know, slow motion like twirls and Tampax reaching out to Dylan and Ulta reaching out and entertaining, like, yeah, I can be a mom. Like, no, you can't. So I'm more annoyed with society. I don't have hatred in my heart for this man. I hate what he's doing. I hate that they want me to throw out truth and lie and go along with it. I hate that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to go along with it. But my point is, like, he wants attention. He's getting attention. He's not, he obviously wants to be famous forever, for a long time before he transitioned. You don't chronicle your life in girlhood doing the most stereotypical, insulting things as your portrayal of a woman and not expect to have eyes on you. So their problem isn't that I've noticed him. They're upset that I won't throw my hands up and worship and say, yes, queen. That's what they're mad about. That I'm not marching to their beat of their drum, that I'm not going along with the program. That's their problem. That's their issue. And someone to say, no, our issue is that you're transphobic. For what? I'm not afraid. I have reasonable concerns. I've been through this many times. We have reasonable concerns when you say, hey, we think it should be illegal for you to call us a man. I'm like, but you're a man. So that's an issue. I'm not going to pretend that it's not. And when I won't conform, you say, this is why people kill themselves. Like, what is with this emotional blackmail? If people are this emotionally distressed, should we be concerned? Like alarm bells going off that there's this predatory industry that are making them slaves of big pharma? To these people who are having these mental issues that you're saying they're so fragile, if I will not live a lie, that they will take themselves out on this planet? Did you hear yourselves? But you want to say that they're totally okay to march into a doctor's office and chop off their dick, like, which I don't believe he's done that. But and then did you think kids should be able to inject themselves with drugs? Why you're telling me they're so mentally fragile? And they do this emotional blackmail and stuff all with a ton of different stuff, but you see it mostly with the trans stuff. And even like Josh Hawley was talking to an expert about abortion, and she kept saying people with the capacity to be pregnant, and he's like, what does that mean? He's like, well, not only women have the capacity to be pregnant, men can have the capacity to be pregnant. And he's like, only men, only women can be pregnant. And then she was like, you're inciting violence against trans people. And it's how? How? And AOC was like, you're inciting violence against for what? For pointing out the hospital does this terrible thing? They didn't say go do this terrible thing. As a matter of fact, Seth Dillon was like, we will give a reward for anyone who finds out information about the bomb threat. We don't want this crazy stuff to escalate into some kind of violence. We just want there to be an escalation back to reality. That's what we want. So these folks are liars. Anyway, let me play this clip from Ms. Luna here, just laying down the business.
We're exchanging communications on Jira, a private cloud server, with CISA, NASS, NASED, and Alex Stamos, who now works at Stanford and is a former security officer at Facebook, to remove a posting. Do you now remember communicating on a private cloud server to remove a posting? Yes or no?
I wouldn't agree with the characterization.
I don't care if you agree. This is your stuff. Yes or no? Did you communicate with a private entity, the government agency, on a private cloud server? Yes or no?
The question was if I
yes or no. Yeah, I'm on time. Yes or no?
Ma'am, I don't believe I can give you a yes or no.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now that you did, and we have proof of it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is joint action between the federal government and a private company to censor and violate the First Amendment. This is also known, and I'm so glad that there's many attorneys on this panel, joint state actors. It's highly illegal. You are all engaged in this action, and I want you to know that you will be all held accountable. Ms. Gaddy, are you still on CISA's Cybersecurity Advisory Council? Yes or no?
Yes, I am.
Okay. For those who have said that this is a pointless hearing, and I just want to let you guys all know, we found that Twitter was indeed communicating with the federal government to censor Americans. I'd like to remind you that this was all in place before January 6th. So to say that these mechanisms weren't in place and to make it about January 6th, I want to let you know that you guys were actually in control of all of the content, and clearly we have proof of that. Now, if you don't think that this is important to your constituents and the American people from those saying that this was a pointless hearing, I suggest you find other jobs. Chairman, I yield my time.
Slay. Yeah, I don't know what all they have been made privy to that hasn't been released in the Twitter files, but yeah, there's a lot of communication with Twitter and the government and actively wanting them to censor other people. And there are Democrats who wanted people censored in particular, but there was one Democrat who was like concerned, and Ro Khanna, I think that's his name, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll give him his props. I mean, there's stuff I definitely disagree with him about a lot of things on, but like at least somebody seemed to care about free speech, at least a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and move on because the hour's late, and I do want to talk about Project Veritas at least briefly. So it was all a buzz yesterday that Project Veritas, I guess, was breaking yesterday, last night, has decided to put James O'Keefe on a paid leave as they, I guess, figure out what they're gonna do to restructure or maybe let him go or put him in a different role. And a lot of people voiced support of O'Keefe. I don't generally think about Project Veritas in any other sort of way than being O'Keefe's thing. So I don't know how they're going to go forward. I mean, and there's a lot of people saying that without O'Keefe, there is no Project Veritas and people won't donate and give, etc. That he's a lot of the contacts and he has a lot of employees that are loyal to him. So I don't know how that will work out, but here's a bit in the rumorville with someone, Swig, old Roe Swig. A whistleblower has contacted me about the James O'Keefe was put on leave and stripped of all authority of Project Veritas. This is difficult for me to publish as a staunch supporter of Project Veritas for years and even a VIP at their events. But what is happening to James O'Keefe is unconscionable, and the attempted hostile takeover of Project Veritas needs to be stood against by its supporters. This will not stand. James is a bit of a poor corporate structure, as PV is a two separate organizations, a 501 C3, which had very few board members and the majority of the money, and a 501c4, which has significantly more board members but less money. According to my source, the situation has allowed for two alleged ringleaders of the attempt to push James out to have significant sway over the others, despite their reasons to be essentially meritless. Board members and C suite officers involved in this, according to my source, are as follows. Board members Matt Trimond, the ringleader, John Garvey, George Skakel, Joseph Barton, not the congressman, and Steve Amblick, CFO Tom O'Hara, and COO Barry Hinckley, ringleader pronouns by. The board held 6.5 hour struggle session versus James, where they subjected him to constant derision and insults, and the insistence of Trimond, O'Hara, and Hinckley. About 10 employees aired their grievances about James, which essentially boiled down to him being a tough boss to work for. At the end of the 6 hour struggle session, Trimond and a few fellow board member John Garvey put him on leave and stripped him of all authority. It was literally a Stalin-esque kangaroo court trial, the thing that is so very profound to me that no one seems to grasp. John Garvey and the rest of the board did nothing to stop it. Matt Trimond had it all scripted, all 6 bleeping hours. This comes in the immediate aftermath of Project Veritas's greatest moment ever. I don't know if it was their greatest moment ever, but it was a big moment. Exposing corruption at Pfizer, which my source thought was extremely suspicious timing. You boot the founder right after your biggest win of all time? Project Veritas must explain the situation. My source believes that with enough public support, James O'Keefe could win back support of the 501c4 board. So please retweet and voice your support in a positive way. James O'Keefe has done more to expose corporate corruption than almost any journalist in modern history. If James O'Keefe leaves, I will no longer support Project Veritas and will support whichever venture he starts instead. My source says that the rank and file employees are still with James. The board needs to realize Project Veritas will likely not survive if they go through with this. He wrote that late last night, and he said he woke up with 1.3 million notifications. No one was able to follow me last night, so try again if you're interested in follow-up tweets. But I've been reached out to by additional Project Veritas insiders who have more to say about the issue. So we'll see what happens on that front. But yeah, it was right after the Pfizer thing. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. I don't know what all they're alleging in their struggle session, if it happened the way that the source claims. But Project Veritas did say Project Veritas has achieved immense growth and impact during the last 3 years, like all newsrooms. At this stage, the Project Veritas board of directors and management are constantly evaluating what the best path forward is for the organization. The board and management are continuing this eternal evaluation to assure our long-term success. Project Veritas will never stop, and we will never let our supporters down. There are 65 plus employees at Project Veritas dedicated to continuing the mission to expose corruption, dishonesty, waste, fraud, and other misconduct in both public and private institutions. To our supporters, we hear you, we care about you, and we will never give up. So saying that, hey, we got all these other employees, it seems like damage control. And I don't think that statement's a good sign for O'Keefe. But if you follow O'Keefe, you like O'Keefe, you appreciate what they've done. I met him at CPAC one year. Seemed like a really nice guy. he tried to recruit my sister, but she had I think she was kind of too well known to really be doing undercover stuff like that. But um, he's got a lot of good sources and donors, and I don't know how well they structure without O'Keefe, but um, a lot of public support really is with him, and the timing is curious. So um, we'll see what else other people have to say, but I do not think it'll be good. Um, if they push out O'Keefe, unless there is like some really good reason, because the timing, like I said, is not great. Isn't great at all. So we'll see what happens. We'll follow that story. Thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, different merchandise that I have at the store. Like the we'll look at the "You Are Not That Special" mugs. Get that for someone in your life. Also, we got the Constitution is Glorious Liberty document. We got some cool like stuff that you could be wearing for Black History, but you can wear it whenever you want, I suppose. Check out my book, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. When you go to blacktnews.com, it's that's like the landing page. So not it'll be very easy to find out more information about it. But you can pre-order right now if you like to read on ebook. If you like paperback, make sure that you sign up at the website so you at least know when more information about that is coming out. And also, if you like what I do here, would like to support, you can go to blacktnews.com/donate. You can give a gift of, whether it's something small like $10, $20. I appreciate it. If you give, larger, I appreciate it. It costs stream, run my website, all that good stuff. So if you would like to help with the overhead, I very much appreciate it. But otherwise, thank you guys for liking, for subscribing, for commenting, for watching. To folks who are following me, who are new, I know we're not going to agree on everything all the time, and I hope that's fine. It's got to be fine. It's got to be fine. I don't agree with people I know and love and live with and have go to church. Like I have, we're in agreement in the majority of things, I would say, but you're not going to agree with everyone on everything. And sometimes even when you agree on the same thing, you still don't see things from the same perspective. So you still come at things from different ways. So we're not always going to see eye to eye. We might bump heads from time to time because I can't respond to every comment, but I do like to, defend myself from time to time. So, I got into it back and forth with some people who had recently subscribed or people who follow, and I'm me, and this page represents me and my feelings and my thoughts, and I'm glad that people enjoy and that people can relate. But it does Black Tea, as of right now, it's not a larger entity with a bunch of different people writing for it. I'd like to grow it for sure, but right now it does represent an individual. So we're just not gonna see eye on everything, and we can debate and we can have conversations and challenge each other for sure. But just PSA, I do appreciate people who watch, especially people who do disagree as well. Anyway, thank you. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow.